Now from Times Square, here's what you need to know.
So we got two important topics here. First, the DEA just announced efforts to reclassify marijuana as a less dangerous drug. And there's also a new study taking a look at accidental ingestion in children, an increase.
Yeah. So as we see the more availability of marijuana and cannabis, unfortunately, that's likely going to lead children to the emergency room after what you said, unintentional exposure. So when you look at the numbers and compare from 2016 to 2023, there's in many states, in all states, over a 7-fold increase in the rate of children presenting to the emergency room. And again, it's not just about the acute or short-term effects, but also those long-term effects.
You are an ER doctor, so you see this coming into the ER. What's the biggest concern? What's the thing that we should all be thinking about when children ingest some sort of cannabis?
Well, the symptoms that we look for or that can be associated with an unintentional ingestion of cannabis can include things like tachycardia or fast heart rate, hypotension or low blood pressure, and even in rare cases, seizures. And again, we don't know these long-term effects in terms of growth and development. I think from my perspective as an emergency physician, the most important thing is honesty. If you have this in your home and your children is acting strange for one reason or another, it's really important to avoid invasive testing that might harm your child.
All right, Doc, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Of course.
We turn now to ABC's Rena Roy with our latest headlines. Good afternoon to you, Rena.
Hey, good afternoon. So great to see you guys. I have to say, I love being here on a Thursday just so I get to celebrate Baby Friday.
We love having you.
So happy Baby Friday, and happy Baby Friday to all of you at home. We begin with the deepening unrest on the nation's college campuses as graduations approach. Pro-Palestinian demonstrators clashing with police in some very tense showdowns at UCLA as law enforcement takes down encampments. Arrests at Fordham University's Manhattan campus, as well as Dartmouth in New Hampshire and in Madison, Wisconsin. Former President Donald Trump is once again refusing to say whether he'll accept the results of the next presidential election. He's suggesting there could be violence if he loses, repeating lies at a Michigan rally last night about the 2020 election he lost. His criminal hush money trial in session again in Manhattan today. Trump has denied all wrongdoing. And reproductive rights advocates are praising the repeal of a strict Civil War era abortion ban in Arizona. The state Senate voting to end that ban with 2 Republican lawmakers joining Democrats. Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs signing that into law today. It goes into effect in 90 days. And the possible school shooting prevented by police in Wisconsin. Officials say they were responding to a report of shots fired and confronted a 14-year-old student with a rifle outside of the school, killing the young suspect. No one else was injured. An investigation is underway. Let's turn now to our Ginger Z for a look at your weather.
The atmosphere is still all riled up. We saw 16 reported tornadoes in the last 24 hours, including that one in Turkey, Texas, which is in the Texas Panhandle. North Texas will have a shot again after some destabilization, but before that, flood watches all the way into Louisiana. Waco, you're still watching for 2 to 5 inches widespread. But this afternoon, it's damaging wind, primarily Wichita Falls down to Abilene into the evening hours. And then, just to leave you with this, May is climatologically the month that we see the most tornadoes. So it could continue in a very busy pattern here.
And the Philadelphia 76ers are saying take that to New York Knicks fans. 76er ownership buying up 2,000 tickets to give away to Philly fans to help keep invading Knicks fans at bay in tonight's pivotal Game 6 matchup. Seems there were too many Knicks fans on Philly turf at Sunday night's game. I don't know. I'm a diehard New Yorker. I don't know if there's such thing as too many Knicks fans.
I don't know.
In Philly. Some competition. Our floor director, Brad, he just couldn't contain his excitement.
That actually is one of the more Philly things I've seen happen recently in a long time.
All right, Rita, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Still ahead on GMA3 on this Thursday, federal interest rates holding at a 23-year high. What this means for you and your family finances.
And coming to a cereal aisle near you, the exclusive unveiling of the new Wheaties cover star. See it here first on GMA3. Stay with us. Welcome back to GMA3. For its 6th straight meeting, the Federal Reserve again opting to keep interest rates unchanged.
All this as it aims to lower inflation. The Fed conceding there has been a lack of further progress toward the committee's 2% inflation objective. And here to break it all down for us is ABC business reporter and our friend Alexis Christoforous. Good to see you.
Good to see you as always.
All right, explain this decision for us.
Okay, look, the long and short of it is inflation's not behaving the way we want it to, the way the Fed wants wants it to. For the third month in a row, inflation coming in hotter than expected. And yesterday, I think the Fed, under no uncertain terms, said, look, get ready for rates to remain higher for longer. I think consumers need to start making peace with that. And just to give you a feel for how far we've come with rates in just the past 2 years, take mortgage rates, for instance. So 2 years ago, the Fed started hiking rates. The rate on a 30-year mortgage was about 4%. It is now over 7%. Credit cards, another great example. The rate was about 16%, still high. It's now about 21%. That's a record high. And if you have a store-branded credit card, you could be paying interest of 30% or more. And then when it comes to auto loans, we're getting hit there too. They're about double where they were just 2 years ago, closing in on 8% now.
And it's not all bad news. You say higher interest rates are good for savers. You can make money on your money.
Yes, there is a silver lining. For those of us who are saving money, if you shop around, you can still get interest rates of 5% or better for things like CDs, money market accounts, even old-fashioned traditional savings accounts. You need to shop around. Online banks, regional banks tend to have better, more competitive rates than most banks. They tend to, not always.
But going back to those interest rates, any hints as to when we could see a cut coming there?
Unfortunately, I think it's really up in the air, and we're sort of in this indefinite holding pattern. The Fed wants to see inflation get closer to its 2% target. Remember, inflation is at 3.5% right now. We were hoping we'd get that rate cut in June or the September meeting. Now they're saying we may not get any rate cut at all this year. There was a little talk the next move might be a rate hike. The Fed threw cold water on that pretty quickly yesterday. Fed Chair Powell said it is probably, quote, unlikely, very unlikely, that the Fed's next move would be to hike rates.
So what's the best move to make if you want to take out a loan for a house or a car?
I think, it's really important right now to prioritize paying down debt, especially if it's high yield credit card debt. And then bust out the calculator and crunch the numbers. Is buying something, is financing now right for you and your family? And I think cars are a great example of that. The average age of a car right now on the road, 12 and a half years. People are holding on to their cars more. Yes, there are even 20-year-old cars out there, and people flaunt it too. Hey, look, I'm keeping my car on the road. It's still safe, it's still good. Part of the reason a new car right now is about $47,000. Insurance up 20% in just the past year. And as we saw, it's higher to now, finance that car. So if it works for you and you feel safe in that car, more and more people are hanging on to it.
So is it better to buy or lease a car? I'm always torn because, you lease one, you can get a new one in, 3 years, or you don't have to worry about maintenance and all of that stuff.
That is the eternal question. I am not a fan of leasing, and I think if you do the numbers show over the life of the car, because cars do depreciate the minute you start driving them off the lot, you will save money over the life of the car if you buy it outright as opposed to continuing to lease it, especially with the way interest rates are right now.
By all accounts, when you look at the measures of the economy, it's strong, but it doesn't feel strong when I'm going to the grocery store.
Exactly. And I think a reason for that is that inflation has become sticky. It's sticking around in lots of areas of our basic life: rent, food, gasoline. This week, McDonald's and Starbucks came out and said we're seeing more budget-conscious consumers. Fewer people are spending big in our stores. So I think people are feeling it in all of those areas. And who are they blaming? The president, for better or for worse. They usually blame whoever's in leadership at the time for those higher prices.
I need you on speed dial.
Oh,
immediately.
You've got me on speed dial.
I love how I grill you with all the things when you first get here every time. Alexis Christophers, always such a pleasure.
Thanks, guys.
Just ahead here on GMA3, there's a reason they call it the Breakfast of Champions.
We're just about to unveil the secret superstar to be featured on the next Wheaties box, and you're going to see it here first on GMA3. Come on back.
Hey, I'm Andy Mitchell, a New York Times bestselling author.
And I'm Sabrina Kohlberg, a morning television producer. We're moms of toddlers and best friends of 20 years.
And we both love to talk about being parents, yes, but also pop culture.
So we're combining our two interests by talking to celebrities, writers, and fellow scholars of TV and movies.
Cinema, really.
About what we all can learn from the fictional moms we love to watch.
From ABC Audio and Good Morning America, Pop Culture Moms is out now wherever you listen to podcasts.
We've got the exclusive view behind the table. Every day, right after the show, while the topics are still hot, the ladies go deeper into the moments that make the View the View. The View's Behind the Table podcast. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to GMA3. The breakfast cereal known for fueling heroes and champions, Wheaties, is more than 100 years young. And it wouldn't be the breakfast of champions without the famous athletes on the cover of the box. Stars like Michael Jordan, Serena Williams, Michael Phelps, and Simone Biles, just to name a few.
All the big stars and the big names. And GMA3 has the exclusive reveal of their next cover star. And she's accomplished big wins on and off the court and has inspired generations of fans to open their hearts and minds to gender equality in sports. And now for the drum roll. We are excited to reveal the next Wheaties box cover, the sports icon and activist Billie Jean King, everybody! Woo, woo. Nice.
But we have more, because, you know, we have to. What would the celebration be without the actual star? Joining us exclusively to discuss for the first time her picture being on the iconic Wheaties box. Please welcome 39-time champ Billie Jean King.
Billie Jean King. Woo! There she is. There she is.
Hi, DeMarco. How are you?
So
Great. Good to see you.
It's crazy to think this is your first time on the Wheaties box. What's it like to see your picture there?
Well, you have to understand, since I was a child, I was eating Wheaties, and every morning I get up and I come out and I go like this. When I was a kid, breakfast of champions, and I would sit down and eat my Wheaties.
And you would know that it is the breakfast of champions. Yeah. You know, you've done so much for women and girls, especially when it comes to equality. Talk about how far the game has come, and what do you think of the success today in college and the WNBA?
Well, women's sports is really finally the tipping point. People are actually investing in us, not thinking of it as a charity, and that's made all the difference in the world, because people really think it's something now. And with all the different sports doing so well, whether it be the WNBA and college basketball, of course, tennis, we're the oldest, really. Well, actually, golf's the oldest, 1950, but we are really the leaders of women's sports, the tennis players. I mean, we've been getting equal prize money at the Open since '73. So whatever the guy gets, the girl gets. So that's really important. But I think companies have to ask themselves, do we spend as much on women's sports as we do men's sports? I don't think so, not yet. Some do, but it's really, that's the question. Because you want everyone deserves the dream. I don't care, boy, girl, whatever gender you identify with. You want every child to have the dream. Like you have a 2-year-old, right?
Yeah, and I was telling her, my 2-year-old
but she's got to have the dream, and the boys have to have the dream. Everybody deserves the dream, I call it. Like, we have a new women's ice hockey league, and you see all these little girls running around for the first time. Even they get tears in their eyes, but the families really do, because they know that the girls didn't have this opportunity.
But how long do you think it's going to take for equal pay to finally arrive? Because when we looked at the salaries of Kate and Clark and some of the others who were going pro, it was a wow factor, and not in a good way.
You know, WNBA is 27 or 8 years old, and the NBA is 78 years old. So we're way behind. We don't get the media attention. That's where the money is. Media equals big contracts. Well, and we're about 14%.
All the work that you put in helping get this equal pay, it transcends not just into sports, but into regular people's lives. Yeah,
sports is an amazing platform to help the world be a better place. And today we're also celebrating the Women's Sports Foundation 50th anniversary, which I founded with the $5,000 check, and we've given over $100 million back to girls for research, advocacy, and community programming. So we're really big on. So we're going to have the lights at the Empire State Building go off, and we're going to have a really great blast later today.
And you've also been an inspiration for HBCUs across the country.
Absolutely. Actually, when we even played Legends, all of our money went to HBCU. So absolutely big believer in the black colleges and universities to excel. Every person, I don't care who you are, what religion, whatever, deserves to have the best that life has to offer.
And that's why we love you.
Yeah. What's your message to those young athletes out there today who have that
dream? I would like athletes to think about we instead of I. Be inclusive, think about all sports. Like, when you started the Women's Sports Foundation, I didn't think tennis. I mean, I grew up, my younger brother played 12 years of professional baseball, Randy Moffett, most of them with the San Francisco Giants. I'm part owner of the Dodgers now, so that's like, we grew up with the Dodgers and the Giants got him. But so I grew up with a brother, so I know what it feels like to be with a boy that has the dreams. But one thing Randy's always told me, he said, you've had it so much tougher. I mean, he's really noticed the difference in the girls and boys, what we've received, and then people of color and people living with disabilities. All those things really, really matter, that everyone gets a chance to play, to dream. Whatever you want to do with your life, just got to go for it.
And thanks to you, you've opened so many doors. One more time for Billie Jean
Not
King,
finished.
everybody.
We're not finished
She is
yet.
not done. And by the way, you can find her on the Wheaties box in your cereal aisle this month. One more time for the champion here.
Baby. Breakfast of champions.
Thank you so much for all that you have
it's so
done.
cute, man.
Up next right here, constantly worried about getting sick? Well, Dr. Darian on what you can do to curb anxiety when it comes to your health.
We're sticking around for that. Plus, actor Ben Feldman is here with an inside look at season 2 of Monsters at Work. Come on back.
All right, Dr. Darian is back with us, and with the excitement around all of these weight loss drugs, these people are still seeing weight loss plateaus. So what do you do about this?
You know, it's important to first know that everyone plateaus, regardless of what method you use for weight loss, whether it's working out, just simply diet, getting surgeries, or even just using medications. And it's not about willpower. And many people don't realize this, but our brains don't know we're trying to lose weight. And so when you lose weight, studies have shown that our brains slow metabolism, increasing our hunger, all in an effort to basically find that new set point and protect us from starvation.
I felt like I plateaued for a minute because I'd be working out and I wouldn't see any results. So what do we do when we plateau?
When you plateau, there's a couple of things you can always do. Number one, something that you talked to me about, which is changing your workout. You know, that can help trigger new points in your body to help you to lose weight. Also making sure that you're understanding your diet, journaling what you're eating. Are you getting enough fiber? Are you getting enough protein? Are you limiting added sugars? And then also, if you're taking other medications, especially if you're using an injectable medication to lose weight, making sure they're not interacting with that medication. And then, of course, getting screened with hormone imbalances and other problems inside your body that can be going on.
And do you have to change your diet when you're on Wegovy and some of the others?
You know, it's not about changing your diet when you're on Wegovy or other medications that help with weight loss. It's really about making sure that your diet is not a diet. It is a lifestyle, and you're looking for those high resource, nutrient high foods that you want to go high quality over just quantity.
So something has to kind of shift.
Something has to kind of shift, but again, many people sit at that set point, and unfortunately, it's just normal life. It's okay. It's your body has found a new set point, and if you're having a lot of difficulty, just know you're not alone.
All right, Doc, thank you very much. Making it a part of your lifestyle.
Yes,
I love
absolutely.
that. All right, back in a moment. Stay with us.
Step into the world of Hollywood like never before with Melissa Rivers' Group Text podcast. Melissa, renowned for her red carpet expertise and storytelling prowess, invites you to join her and her famous friends for hilarious and heartfelt conversations. From discussing the latest binge-worthy TV shows, navigating the highs and lows of life, and dissecting celebrity fashion, there is never a dull moment. With exclusive stories from special guests like Chelsea Handler, Cheryl Hines, your favorite reality stars, and deep dives into intriguing topics like the Where is Wendy Williams documentary, this podcast offers an insider's look into the glitz and glam of Tinseltown. It's not just Melissa's podcast. It's a collective experience where you're invited to join the conversation. So, if you've ever wanted a peek behind the Hollywood curtain, subscribe to Melissa Rivers' Group Text podcast, now on your favorite platform. Get ready for laughter, tears, gossip. In other words, unforgettable moments that'll keep you coming back for more. Don't miss out. This is one group text you won't want to exit.
The first ever criminal trial of a former president is underway in Manhattan. It's one of potentially 4 trials facing former President Trump as he makes his third bid for the White House. What do voters think about his culpability, and would a guilty verdict make a difference in the election? I'm Galen Druk, and every Monday and Thursday on the 538 Politics podcast, we break down the latest news from the campaign trail. We sort through the noise and zoom in on what really matters, using data and research as we go. That's 538 Politics every Monday and Thursday, wherever you get your podcasts.
Dr. Darian is back with a look at one of your questions. Here it is. Why aren't PET scans part of routine annual checkups? That's from Tracy L.
You know, a PET scan, first of all, what is it? It's a type of CT scan. PET stands for positron emission tomography. If you can think about CT scans, they localize organs and where they are. A PET scan helps to identify rapidly acting cells, for example, in the setting of cancer, even for identifying signs of epilepsy, and even in patients for signs of Alzheimer's. So why doesn't everyone get a PET scan when they can be helpful in finding things that are bad? It's because we have to weigh the risks and the benefit. And so when you look at a PET scan, your exposure to radiation, if you're not looking for anything specific, that risk increases. And so it's always about balancing that delicate balance.
All right, your prescription for wellness.
My prescription for wellness is, for some of my friends out there, I won't name all of them, but how to manage health anxiety. So I think it's really, really important to go over this as we were discussing during the break. Stay off Dr. Google, which is what we'll end on. But here are some good points about how to manage health anxiety. First of all, don't personalize other people's health issues. Specifically, also, don't personalize other social media posts. I know many people go through this. When you think you might be dealing with a problem, all of a sudden it's all over your timeline and your For You page. Also, one tip that I think is helpful is keeping notes of your symptoms. This can help you to keep a log, especially if you're having a new symptom. You can look back and say, oh, all those other symptoms were actually nothing. And so it can help you feel better sometimes. Also, consider the most likely scenario. In medicine, we love to say common things be common. And you know, it reminds you to just stick to the most common things and not run to those rare diseases and diagnoses that are going to lead you down a road of anxiety and just pulling back. And then also just make sure that you resist the urge to search online and know that this is difficult. But if you're going to search online, at the very least, check for evidence as to why you might not have this problem or this diagnosis. It could be really helpful.
Again,
not directed toward anyone specifically.
You know what? I actually think it's really lovely that you are so quick to go to the doctor and not scared.
See?
Yeah, you
Thank you for turning that around, Eve.
That was a really good turnaround.
That was a really good.
You're the first to call.
There are lots of men that we can't get to the doctor.
That is very true.
It's good to have one that will go.
Better to know.
DeMarco will be there bright and early.
Bright and early.
Even if he doesn't have an appointment.
Doc, thank you very much. We appreciate it. And folks, we would love to hear from you. So hit us up on Instagram with all of your medical questions at ABC GMA3.
When we come back, Better Call Brian. Some more surprises in the Harvey Weinstein developments. Our Brian Buckmeyer is tracking it all.
And later, we are getting into the kitchen to make some healthy and tasty morning muffins. Stay with us. All right, welcome back to GMA3. Harvey Weinstein appeared in Manhattan criminal court Wednesday, and early a week after the New York Courts of Appeals overturned a 2020 rape conviction and a 4-3 decision.
The retrial is now scheduled for some time after Labor Day. Better Call Brian to break it all down. Joining us now is ABC News contributor Brian Buckmeyer. Thanks so much for being here. It's a very complicated case. So Weinstein continues to say he's not guilty. He continues to say that any sexual activity was consensual. Let's look at this decision from the appellate court. They found what they called egregious errors. Explain this for us.
So when an appellate court says there are egregious errors, they're saying that the errors that occurred in the trial court were beyond harmless. It wasn't enough to affect the outcome of the trial. And for the most part, they're saying that there were too many what we call Molyneux witnesses or Molyneux evidence. Witnesses who testified to allegations that Harvey Weinstein wasn't facing actual crimes for. And if you do the numbers, there were 3 victims whose allegations are associated with actual crimes and 4 that were not. And so the appellate court said that these actions were egregious, that the judge allowed these witnesses to testify in the way that they did, because it appeared that those 4 witnesses didn't add any other evidence other than a propensity to commit crimes. And the Molyneux rule says you're not allowed to do that.
So what is the prosecution up against in retrying this case, and could Weinstein take the stand?
So the good thing for the prosecution is the Court of Appeals basically gave them a roadmap. If you do this, this is how the case gets reversed. If you don't do this, there's a potential that it would not get reversed. But the biggest challenge in a case like this is asking the victims to testify again. It is not easy to go to trial. It's extremely difficult to go a second time. And I know there's some reporting that some of the victims have said they would and some have said they wouldn't. But I think at this point, the prosecution's greatest difficulty is going forward. In terms of whether or not Harvey Weinstein will testify, one of the rulings that the Court of Appeals said is because of the way that the trial court kind of stacked the deck against him, it kind of had a chilling effect as to whether or not he would testify. Now, if you change that ruling, it opens the door as to whether or not he could potentially testify. I think it's a greater chance, but I'm not 100% sure if he will.
Let's talk about the thing that Weinstein's attorneys pointed out was that the obvious difference in the proceedings is Judge Curtis Farber. You know this judge. You've sat in the courtroom for Weinstein's first trial. Do you think having a different judge in this case is going to actually make a difference?
So I've actually been in front of Judge Farber. Before he was a Manhattan judge, he was a Brooklyn judge, and I've done trials in front of him. And in fact, he was the only judge that I've ever seen that withheld a video because the prosecutor couldn't get it in, and then dismissed the case before it even ended, based on evidentiary rulings. And so when I think of Judge Farber in that sense, and in this case, yeah, I do think it's a big difference, because some of the rulings that were made in the initial trial, I don't think would have happened under Judge Farber. So do I think that Harvey Weinstein's going to walk because Judge Farber is on the case now? No. But I do think the evidentiary rulings will fit more with what I'm accustomed to seeing in court. And for a defense attorney, a little bit of fairness in that goes a long way. So I think that's why they're so happy about Judge Farber being on the case.
I want to go back to the Molyneux witness. What is a Molyneux witness, and how rare is it that it happens here in the state of New York? I'm going to avoid the legal talk, and I'm just going to give you an example that works a lot easier. Right now, and babies are on my mind because I have a 2-year-old at home, my son continually steals my breakfast. He eats his breakfast, and then he goes and he takes mine. And so every time I try to bring a case against him, the Honorable Mrs. Buckmeyer, who that's her official title at home, says you can't bring up the prior bad acts of him stealing waffles from you to prove that he steals waffles. That's that whole propensity issue. You can't use prior bad acts or crimes to prove a case. I'm saying, no, there's an exception. And the exception comes in the form of an acronym, MIMIC. Motive, identity, mistake or lack thereof, identity, and then common scheme or plan, right? So my argument would be, I'm not trying to use the prior instances of my son stealing my waffles to show that he has a propensity for stealing waffles. I'm trying to show the lack of mistake. He knows what he's doing. I'm trying to show there's a common scheme or plan, and that exception allows me to bring those prior bad acts. In the Harvey Weinstein situation, they're saying that those exceptions didn't exist. You were using his prior bad acts to show he had a propensity to commit these crimes, and that's why the case was reversed. But there is a way of navigating this that does work in many ways.
We have to talk about the fact that this isn't Weinstein's only conviction. He was also found guilty for sex crimes in an LA court and sentenced to 16 years in California. Everyone's now looking at that case. Is that decision at all in question now after what we've seen happen here in New York?
So it's not in question in the sense of the California case was litigated a little bit differently than the New York case in terms of the number of Molyneux witnesses. But definitely, both prosecutors and defense attorneys in California will look at this ruling in New York and try to compare and contrast to see if there are arguments that they can make. Well, there might be other appellate issues that they could argue, whether it be the statute of limitations or things of that sense. But right now, Harvey Weinstein is not walking out of prison because the case in New York was reversed. He's still being held based on the case in California. However, he was brought from a New York prison down to a New York jail so that he can hear the charges against him in the New York case and potentially be retrialed, as we've already said.
This is fascinating, to say the least. All right, Brian Buckmeyer. Brian, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Come on back.
Joining us now is author Jess Dammit. Good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you guys.
And
Thank
welcome
you for
back.
having me.
You've been on the show before, and I love reminding people of your story. You were an intern for Martha Stewart, and now look at you. It's just such a success story that we love to see.
Pretty amazing. I'm so happy to be here. We're going to make my morning glory muffins today. I really, really love these muffins. They're a perfect breakfast. They're super hearty. This is whole wheat flour, a little wheat germ, cinnamon, salt, and baking powder. And I'm just going to whisk this together. And then these are loaded with fruits and vegetables. These are shredded carrots. There's going to be apples in here. And what I really love about them is they're sweetened with dates. So I am in California. There are amazing, soft, chewy, sweet dates there. And I love using them as a sweetener.
I gotta
That's what this is right here.
How did you come up with this recipe?
Morning glory muffins are kind of a classic, like hippie health food dish, and it's like any of those like crunchy old dusty health food stores in America. Like they probably have these muffins.
Because when you say healthy, like that's not what gets me excited. Well, but they look like they taste like a carrot.
And be honest, let me know what it tastes like, Eva.
I think that the dates are really sweet. They're not like, you know, a crazy birthday cake, but they have so much sweetness, right? And they're so good for you. So I really love to use dates when I'm baking.
These are not like hippie vibe crunchy.
No, I mean there's pecans, raisins, coconuts.
I mean there's almonds in here or some sort of nut.
Pecans, yeah, they're fully loaded muffins.
Okay.
So if you eat these for breakfast, you're gonna be full all day, like until lunchtime.
I haven't had breakfast yet.
Yeah. And then I love using a cupcake scoop like this one, a little ice cream scoop, and it makes the perfect portioned muffin.
So, but let me ask you this. So do you mix this together or
Yes.
keep it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Do you want to, you can show them while I do this. Do you want to help
continue
me
to eat? Sorry.
Scoop?
I'm like, show me the full
Yeah.
process so I could try this at home.
These are really simple, and something I really love about them.
This is actually brilliant.
Right? They're the perfect size, and they're all equal. So they're like ready for Instagram, which
so
is
it's-
very important.
And of course, it's a morning item, but could you eat this all day? Is it something that you would do at like a party when you host, or?
Definitely. And I love popping these in the freezer. And you can keep them in the freezer in a bag for like 3 months.
Okay.
And just take it out in the morning or in the evening before, and then have breakfast in the morning.
Oh, it's amazing.
Which I love.
So you also have this other thing over here. What is this going on? Is this a collard green?
This is a collard green wrap. These are like a vegan tuna, which sometimes doesn't sound that exciting, but it's so delicious, and it's pantry items. You can use canned chickpeas, which is what we use today, and it's mixed with a little vegan mayo, nutritional yeast, which is sort of like a vegan vegetarian secret weapon.
Try the wrap, Eva. Try the wrap so we can see what it is.
What, you don't trust
You
that
love
it's
to
any
eat
good.
everything. Try
I
the
do
wrap
eat
first.
everything.
And I would have the muffin with a little of this
What is
cinnamon
this?
butter.
Oh, so, okay.
This is
wait.
like a maple cinnamon butter.
A cinnamon butter. So
Yeah,
what goes in
sorry,
it? You make this?
It's just a little vegan butter, maple syrup, and cinnamon. And now try it. This is like the carrot cake vibe we're looking for. Yeah.
That hit the spot right
Yeah.
here. This is good. Is it good?
It's delicious.
The entire cooking segment, we're like, this is really good here.
And this wrap, I think you're gonna be really surprised. Everyone I make this for, like when I'm like a collard green wrap, they're like,
Actually,
but
it's just secretly good.
Yeah, and they're so easy, and they're really, really healthy. Right?
very good.
And I've seen a lot of kids eat
There's a
both
lot
of
of
these
flavor in
things.
there.
It is
That
a
is
lot of
not what I
flavor.
was expecting.
And texture too. You've got crunch from cucumber. There's a little raw red
there's like
onion, lemon, nori makes it super savory, little salty.
Wait a minute, what is this?
This is nori, which is strips of seaweed.
In Korea, we call this gim.
And that gives it that umami sort of savory, salty yumminess.
We eat these as children all the time. Jess, thank you so much. This is actually very delicious, even though it's healthy, which is a little bit blowing my mind at the moment. Jess's cookbook, Health Nut, is now available everywhere books are sold. And for today's recipes, go to goodmorningamerica.com/food or scan that QR code that's right there on your screen right now.
I gotta be honest, you're good. I think this is the first time that we've like actually eaten through most
I was
of
a
the whole
little
segment
scared.
here.
I don't know if you noticed, I held off on the collard green wrap because I was like, what if this is not good?
But isn't it surprisingly
Shockingly
good?
It really is.
Yeah.
Jess, thank you again. We
Thank you
appreciate
so
it.
much, guys. I really
When we
appreciate
come
it.
back, balancing humor and heart in this popular series.
We're talking Monsters at Work. Star Ben Feldman is here to take us behind the scenes of season 2. Come on back.
That was really good.
The most recent Scream King who was top of its class and still holds the record for the loudest roar. Please welcome Tyler Tussman.
Go, Tyler, go!
Yay! Tyler works at Monsters, Inc., where he is a top scarer.
Oh, I'm actually a jokester now, so.
Jokester? What's a jokester?
Sorry, Sorry, everyone. Hi, Tyler here. I'm not a scarer, I'm a jokester. Monsters, Inc., they switched to laugh power.
Oh, okay.
Welcome back. That was a look at the new season of the hilarious hit Disney Plus series Monsters at Work.
And we've got one of the stars of the show here to tell us more about it. Please welcome Ben Feldman, everybody.
Everybody sit down.
Everybody sit down, right? So we should point out, you are the voice of Tyler, the character
I'm the
there.
voice of Tyler.
And
yeah.
you're finally a jokester, so
Yeah.
no more scaring children. That's gone.
Yeah.
How is Tyler operating in his new space?
Well, this season, so that season, the last season was about becoming a jokester and that journey to become his dream, which is to be a jokester. And now this season, there's like a rival fear company, and he's like kind of torn between fear power and laugh power. So it's a little microcosm. It's kind of a metaphor for where we are as a world and a country. Not to be too deep.
I got that metaphor when I watched the first episode of the second season this morning, but then I was also just amazed by the amount of talent in this. You got Billy Crystal, John Goodman, Mindy Kaling. Do you get to collaborate with them, or do you just do it all individually?
No, none of them want to be in a booth with me. No, they're busy people. It's ridiculous that I'm in this cast. Like, I crowbarred my way into this like all-star. I've done one thing with Henry Winkler once. Mindy I've known for a long time, and I kind of bullied into being in the show. And then like the other day I met John Goodman on an airplane. I was like, hi, we've been on a show for years together. I'm Ben. So no, you don't see them too much, but like they're here. John's in New Orleans, Billy's in New York, so it's, yeah.
Everyone's all over the place.
Yeah.
What's amazing about this show is that it really appeals to all ages. It's one of those shows as parents that when you have to watch children's TV.
You're into it now, right?
You're like, oh, this is great. This is funny. You have your own laughs about things as well. Is that part of what factors in, or does that factor in? Because you have kids as well.
Yeah, 100%. I did this show, and the voices for the toys even. Like, we have toys in my house with my voice. All of this is because I have two kids who I thought would be even remotely impressed by it, and they could not care less.
I was going to ask that question because you have a 5 and a 6-year-old.
Yeah, 5 and a 6-year-old. Yeah, there they are in Paris. These kids are so spoiled. That's me. So that's Effie holding the me character.
But do they know it's you?
Yes, sort of. Like their cousins are like, Uncle Ben, you're on it. We love the show. And like my kids are like, yeah.
Do you do the voice for them?
The voice is me. And I do it all the time. And my daughter doesn't believe it. I had it on the other day because I'm a narcissist, and my daughter was watching it, and she was like, wait, Daddy, you say what he says, and so I would have to repeat me after me on TV would talk, and I'd like do it. Like he'd be like, what are you doing? And I'd be like, what are you doing? And my daughter would be like, no. They either don't believe me or they don't care. But their cousins care.
I love that. And you got a new project that you're working on as well. What is it, Population 11?
Yeah, I got a couple. Yeah, so I shot a show in Australia for 3 months in the outback in the middle of absolutely nowhere. And so that's something that just came out in Australia, and we're going to bring it over here. I'm doing the Mayfair Witches, which is this cool show with Alexandria Daddario. I've been in New Orleans doing that. So a lot of not being with my family.
Well, so on that note, you're right now in the middle of 2 birthdays.
Yeah, a 5th birthday and a 40th. One is my wife and one is my daughter, and I'll let you guess which one is which. But yeah, I'm throwing like I'm leaving today and throwing this like big massive party that my wife knows is happening but doesn't know anything else about it.
Should you say happy birthday to her? Maybe win some points?
No, she's not watching.
I was just trying to help you out.
Happy birthday, Michelle.
Thank you, Ben. So much fun having you here. Season 2 of Monsters at Work premieres May 5th on Disney+.
Step into the world of Hollywood like never before with Melissa Rivers' Group Text podcast. Melissa, renowned for her red carpet expertise and storytelling prowess, invites you to join her and her famous friends for hilarious and heartfelt conversations. From discussing the latest binge-worthy TV shows, navigating the highs and lows of life, and dissecting celebrity fashion, there is never a dull moment. With exclusive stories from special guests like Chelsea Handler, Cheryl Hines, your favorite reality stars, and deep dives into intriguing topics like the Where is Wendy Williams documentary, this podcast offers an insider's look into the glitz and glam of Tinseltown. It's not just Melissa's podcast. It's a collective experience where you're invited to join the conversation. So, if you've ever wanted a peek behind the Hollywood curtain, subscribe to Melissa Rivers' Group Text podcast, now on your favorite platform. Get ready for laughter, tears, gossip. In other words, unforgettable moments that'll keep you coming back for more. Don't miss out. This is one group text you won't want to exit.